Today we're going to talk about Trump's Fulton County case already starting to fall apart, and I interview former White House press secretary and MSNBC host Jen Psaki about her thoughts on the first GOP debate, whether her legal guests predict any prison time for Trump, what questions she'd be getting the most as press secretary right now, and how she thinks Biden should handle Trump's indictments. I'm Brian Tyler Cohen, and you're watching No Lie. Now, I don't think any of us were under the impression that Trump's defenses in these trials were going to go especially smoothly, but there are things happening in Fulton County, Georgia right now that are already suggesting, before this thing even gets out of the pretrial period, that Trump is going to have a really rough go in Georgia. So first off, we now have 3 of the fake electors who've been indicted in Georgia who've come forward and said that they acted either at the direction of Trump or on Trump's behalf. Now, full disclosure, they're also looking to have this case removed to federal court, and then they're arguing that because Trump is a federal official, that's grounds to be able to do that, which, by the way, most likely isn't going to fly. But more importantly, these people may very well be previewing their defense here, and that defense might be to throw Donald Trump himself under the bus. And if by chance they have evidence of the claim that Trump directed them to do what they did, then that's pretty much a death blow to his defense in this case. This may also be a signal to District Attorney Fani Willis that they're willing to cooperate. Like, coming out and basically broadcasting that Trump is at fault is about as clear a sign as you could possibly give to prosecutors that you are ready and willing to flip. And if it means these people protect their own freedom, then I think they're going to opt to do that. Here's another complication for Trump. Days ago, Trump's former attorney who helped orchestrate this whole fake elector scheme, Kenneth Chesebro, requested a speedy trial in Georgia, which would force a trial that comes either within or immediately following the current grand jury term. And I think that Chesebro's strategy here was to make this request, knowing that this is a massive, sprawling 19-defendant RICO case, and assuming that prosecutors wouldn't be able to go to trial right away. And if they didn't bring it to trial when he made the formal request, he could have filed a motion to have the charges dismissed. Not a bad plan. Only the issue came when Fani Willis agreed with him. She requested a trial date of October 23rd, 2023, and then the judge granted it, meaning at least the first defendant will be tried in fewer than 2 months from now. And there are 2 issues for Trump here. First off, prosecutors may look to batch defendants in this first round. They've got 19 defendants to try. They may try to use their time more efficiently and request that, 5 more defendants join Chesebro in this first round, in this first trial. One of them may very well be Donald Trump. Prosecutors may not want to, show their hand and reveal their defense to prove the conspiracy charges, which they'll have to do with Chesebro, and basically make it easier for Trump to get off if he's in a subsequent round. And so they wouldn't have to worry about that if he was among the first defendants here. But even if they don't opt to batch him with Chesebro, here's the second thing. Consider the fact that if these trials will be starting in earnest this October, then Trump is going to have a lot harder time delaying this thing years into the future when other defendants have already proven that they're able to get themselves into a courtroom immediately. So the next time a Trump attorney says that, these timelines are impossible, remember that this October trial is all the proof you need that actually it is very much possible to bring this case to trial immediately. And finally, one more complication for Trump. Legal scholars on both sides of the aisle have come forward and suggested that there are already grounds to disqualify Trump from even appearing on the ballot in 2024 on 14th Amendment grounds, based on his incitement of insurrection on January 6th. 2 things will very likely happen here. The first is a Secretary of State, certainly in a blue state, will refuse to put him on the ballot, citing the 14th Amendment, which will trigger a lawsuit. The second thing is that a Secretary of State, likely in a red state, will put him on the ballot, and someone will sue to have him taken off. So those 2 cases will eventually hop from the state court to the federal court, because ultimately this is an issue that will affect the federal government, and it could be challenged all the way up to the Supreme Court, which may not be great, considering it's a 6-3 bench, but at the same time, Trump has a terrible success rate when it comes to litigating his efforts to steal the 2020 election, including in front of the Supreme Court. And of course, all of that is notwithstanding the fact that facing 91 criminal charges is unto itself a pretty big complication for Donald Trump. But if things are turning this much against him before a single trial even starts in earnest, then I can't imagine how this guy keeps his head above water over the next year. Here's a preview of my interview with Jen Psaki. I just want to dig into the Vivek thing for a moment.
Yeah.
I agree that to the extent that he was able to overperform on that debate stage that he won, but I think the reason he's finding popularity is that he is doing the popular thing in the GOP right now, which is Trumpism. But the people who like Trumpism already have the real thing. They've got Trump. And if it's between Vivek and Trump, they're not going to opt for the cover band. So is this whole thing just ultimately a doomed effort?
Well, first of all, Vivek said climate change is a hoax, which even many Republicans don't. The majority of Republicans don't even agree with that,
Yeah.
right? He had a lot of insane things to say, and it's not just that he has the wrong position in my view, but in the view of most people on that stage and Democrats on Russia and Ukraine, is that he doesn't seem to have a grasp of the issues of those issues. So that all makes it very challenging for him to actually move forward in a serious way. I do think that he is more than doing Trump. He is doing Trump in a youthful, vigorous way, because all of them are trying to be Trump. Not all of them, but they're trying to be Trump in different ways. I mean, DeSantis is trying to be Trump in the policies, but he does not have the same evil charisma. So you have that or you don't. Vivek, it thinks climate change is a hoax, crazy, but has that charisma and has it in a more youthful, frankly, if you don't listen to what he has to say and you just look at his energy, a less scary way. So that is the thing that is a little, I don't think he's going to win the nomination, but I do think he's going to do better in the early states at this point than people anticipate.
Yeah, I do think that he kind of figured out. I don't think he really cares about the issues. I think he's just saying what he thinks is going to cause the most chaos. And so in
Yes.
that way, he's doing Trumpism. He just knows that,
Yes.
ultimately at the end of the day, this thing is an attention game. And if he wants to grab the headlines, grab all that attention, he's just got to do the thing that's going to cause the most chaos. And if it means he's got to be the only person on stage raising his hand when they ask about Ukraine, then that's what he's going to do. I don't think he gives a shit either way.
I mean, yeah, there's a part of me that's like, does he have a group of friends from college that he's like, hey guys, I've had a really successful private sector career. I'm going to run for president and just see what happens. And now he's like on a text chain with them, like, can you believe this? They like me.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just because I'm not naive enough, even though I'm a policy nerd, just like you are, to think that policy discussions are the driver in the Republican primary right now. However, this is, yes, some of them were pushing back on him because they're nervous about him rising. But I do think there was an element of some people on that stage pushing back on him because what he was saying was not just crazy, but so lacking of an understanding of like how governing works. I mean, how policymaking works, whatever you think of policy issues.
It's a very like do your own research crowd appearance by Vivek there.
Yeah.
Was there a particular moment during the debate that you thought did the most damage to a candidate?
In some ways, and I'm not trying to cop out here, but in some ways, the damage done was kind of the lack of taking advantage of the moment, in my view. I mean, because Tim Scott, he has a compelling personal story. What he had to say on abortion was insane. I mean, he basically said that states that are for allowing women to have choices about their own health care should not be able to have that choice, even though he's for states' rights. Okay, so that is crazy. But he also was kind of like not an effective messenger or communicator. I do not see how that helps him. There's the Ron DeSantis-ness of it all. I think there were only a few memorable people and moments. I don't know if anybody kind of injured themselves to death.
Completely injured, yeah.
Maybe Vivek, if he actually became a serious candidate, because some of the things he had to say were bananas, but I don't think he's going to be the nominee. So I don't.
To check out the full interview with Jen, click the thumbnail right here on the screen or check out the interviews playlist on my YouTube channel. You can also find the link on this screen to the audio version of this episode, and for more of my content, the subscribe button is on the screen as well.